So, hello and welcome to this episode of
Oh,
I know I always do that. I've noticed.
cheers,
Mixed New
everyone.
Folk Movement. And today I'm speaking to the wonderful Kevin Todd, who's joining me from his music room. You've got your very own
In
music
10, in 10, 10B. It's in 10B,
in
yes.
Tenby. Very nice. So
Not the one in Wales, just the one round the back of number 10 of our house, in
that'll,
case anyone's wondering.
that'll be a long old jaunt to get
Keeping
to
on.
gigs from Wales. So, Kevin,
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about your musical background. How did you get into playing songs and writing, and how did you get into the banjo? Because I could see there's obviously some
Mm,
guitars there on the wall, but banjo's what we know you for. So yeah,
it's just down here, don't worry.
yeah.
It's never far away. I have one sort of here and one there. Yeah, well, let's have a think now. I think my earliest exposure to an instrument really physically was when I was a kid up in the northeast. My granny and my auntie used to take me through to Newcastle at the weekends when I used to stay with granny up there, my Nana Adam. And my auntie had a piano in the parlour room in the back of the house. So I used to sit on that and just plonk away on the piano when I must have been, I don't know, 6 or 7 year old sort of thing, but not knowing at all what to do with it. I used to just make noises with it, and it used to sort of stir something within me. It gave me a passion for listening to music, but I never really had the opportunity to play any music. We moved down south. Me and my mother moved down south when I was about 11 to Rutland. We lived in Oakham there, and there was a guy in the flat below called Phil, a black guy, Phil, and he was just a cool dude, and he played guitar, and I used to hear him playing guitar quite a lot. And he was quite good friends with my mum, and I used to get invited round and have a cup of tea and just watch him playing. And he tried to show me some things, and it just didn't sink in, and I wasn't interested for some reason. I don't know. It was all about, I was into heavy metal and stuff when I was a kid, really, and he was playing sort of, I don't know, bluesy sort of stuff, and it was just too old for me then at that time. But I was fascinated by what he was doing, and I was more into my heavy metal and stuff like that. It was phases when you're younger. I think I went from that and into something else, and then the new wave thing came out in the 80s and stuff. So I fluctuated through different genres of music through being young. But I started hanging around with kids who were in bands and played instruments properly, 12-string guitars like this one here and acoustic. And they were cool kids, through to college. I used to follow them around and go to their gigs with them wherever they played gigs. Battle of the Bands things, and I was always in awe of them, but never felt like I had the aptitude, to play anything. Really never thought. And I had the odd acoustic guitars when I was younger, maybe when I was 18, 19, when I was in the Air Force. But there was no online material then, it was all from books. And I just couldn't get my head around it, really. Trying to play chords and learn from a book, and just listening to music, I just couldn't get a grip of it. So I ended up selling most of the guitars I bought, having them for a while, getting very frustrated, and selling them to mates in bands and then watching them play them, So I was just happy to go and watch them play them because they were competent and I wasn't for some reason. I just couldn't take to an instrument. So I just listened to music. I used to like singing to music and listening to whatever I could. There was another guy, a civilian guy, who was a dad of a friend of mine I used to go to school with. He was a fantastic harmonica player. And I ended up working with him when I was in the Air Force because he was like a civilian mechanic on the base and used to play his harmonicas in the mechanical bays on tea break times. And it used to be such a fantastic noise. It used to echo off the walls. Yeah. It was big chromatic. And he was called Bill Cotton. He was his nickname after Bill Cotton Big Band, wasn't his real name, but his surname was Cotton. But he was a damn good player, and I used to love listening to him play. But I had no idea, aspirations or anything to play one. I just loved listening to him. So that was that. Many years later, I think I got an electric guitar and an amplifier. I just couldn't get to grips with that either. I just gave it to my son when he was 9, started him away, and he's progressed into a fantastic musician himself. I'll never ever come near to how good he is. And I think I was stirred initially into playing the banjo by, I think, Billy Connolly. I used to watch a lot of Billy Connolly when I was growing up, and he used to play banjo on stage.
Yeah.
Songs in his early gigs, and he's a fantastic banjo player, really fantastic. So that sort of got me a little interest in that instrument, which makes a massive noise. It's a beautiful instrument considering it's only got 5 strings. And then a bit later on, it was, I think, the film Oh Brother, When I Brother, Where Art Thou came out by the Coen brothers. I think that really stirred something in me with the music in that film, in that soundtrack, to sort of delve a bit more into that sort of music. And so I don't know, it struck something inside me, and I don't know what else. So I got into World Scruggs. You know, I thought YouTube was around then, and the internet, and I started to, how can I learn? You know, and I thought, my God, there's all these tutors online giving free lessons. And I thought this might be my way of learning something. So I bought a cheap old nasty banjo, and I started learning on just through YouTube. You know, and that works for me better visually, watching someone play. And just watching it over and over and over. It seems to sink in for me. I tried doing tablature and things that way, but it just doesn't work for my brain and fingers for some reason. It's just, I learn more from listening to a tune, watching somebody play it, and then describe a section of the tune, and then move on to the next bit, and then I'll just play with it until I get it. So I worked my way through a few cheap old banjos and upgraded to a semi-decent one, and I got very into the Earl Scruggs style thing, finger picking, bluegrass and all that sort of stuff. Fairly competent, so I could go to a jam session, and I used to go to the one at South Clifton, at the pub over there. I can't remember the name of the pub now. I don't know whether it was the Red Lion or something. It used to be a fantastic session. They used to have accordion players, fiddle players, double bass, you know, professional musicians used to go, and it was fantastic, and they were so welcoming, and that gave me so much confidence that amongst people who were sympathetic and weren't telling you to, oh my God, shut up and go away, take that banjo away. You know, there was another guy, there was an older guy with a banjo from the village who was, you know, very sympathetic as well. And it was a really nice atmosphere, and they used to bring out, you know, beef dripping sandwiches at 10 p.m. in the interval, and it was really good. But unfortunately the pub shut down, so that session ended. I had to hunt something else out, you know, so I in the meantime, I'd got into Old Crow Medicine Show and things like that. I was starting to listen to them a lot. And Willie Watson from Old Crow Medicine Show. Steve Martin, I stumbled across Steve Martin, the comedian, who's a fantastic world-class banjo player. He's been playing since he was in college. You know, he's one of the top accredited banjo players in the world, multi-style. He's superb. So he's been quite an influence as well, comedy-wise and from a musical sense. He's a really humble guy, and he's a fantastic musician. So I had sort of tracked down sessions in Lincoln. So I just went to whatever I could find, because I found that it gave you so much confidence when you went along and just got involved, even if you were just strumming along in the background. Excuse me. And you came away feeling good about yourself. It sort of inspires you to learn more. You know, and aim more, meet new people. So I got bored with the old bluegrass style, and I sort of discovered the older style of, they call it clawhammer style, which, because I wanted to sing. You can't really sing over bluegrass style finger picking because it's all too fast. Very difficult to sing and play at the same time. You're just basically backing up a band, you know, and trying to keep in time, and everything's so fast, and it's quite challenging. I used to go to sessions with the Calligraphy Club boys, with Jack and Bobby and Steve on the fiddle and everything, to their sessions, and in the bluegrass style, they're just so good, tight musicians, and I found it quite challenging, you know. So I started playing the other style, which is they call clawhammer now, but it's traditionally called downstroke banjo, where you pluck off with your thumb on the strings, and it's more rhythmic, and it's the old time guys used to sing in that style as well as play, so it's a lot more friendly for singing along too, and they used to use it for dances and hoedowns and stuff, that style, long before the bluegrass stuff came along. But there's still a big following for that style of music worldwide, you know. And I follow a couple of guys over in the States who Clifton Hicks being one of them, and John Haywood, who are more in the traditional style, and they keep the old songs going in the old style of playing. So they're quite mentors, and I'm sort of in their Patreon groups and stuff like that. But I say I've got to a fair standard now where I can play with other people, and I can play my own songs and sing along with them. So I'm quite happy with that. But it wouldn't have been so good if I hadn't been collaborating with other people and meeting people in pubs like the Ploughboy and places like that, at the sessions. And meeting so many other good musicians that I've ended up collaborating with, you know. So, and the harmonica came alongside the banjo from listening to blues music and getting into people like Son of Dave, who, I don't know if you know Son of Dave. He's fantastic. No. He's a maverick blues man. He's originally from Canada. He used to be in a band called the Crash Test Dummies.
Oh yeah,
in Canada, and he was, I think he was the bass player. And he just had enough of it all, the industry, and he just gave it up. And he started busking on the streets. He came to London and he started busking on the streets and set up his own one-man band type of thing. And he used loops and things like that. He's a fantastic artist. Look him up, Son of Dave.
Oh, Son of Dave.
Seen him live down in London. He's brilliant. So he's quite an inspiration. And I started listening to all the old blues guys and stuff. But I was more sort of taken with the country blues type of harmonica, that old Crow Medicine show. Play that type of thing, country mixed with blues, you know.
Yeah.
But I do still play with in a blues sort of style with people. I play folk style harmonica for my own stuff, and I do play a little bit. I'm into Western music, and country is another one of my passions. There's a few country artists, modern country artists that I really like, and I'm a fan of. Hence the guitars. So I play a bit of guitar and sing a few country songs as well. But I play sort of 3 different styles of harmonica to suit the genre or the people I'm playing with. So I play with several local musicians, as you might know already. I don't know, you've been digging a bit. Kev Hackney being one of them, Rob Oldfield, Austin T Band, and such. So I like to mix the genres, because I think if I stuck to one genre of music full time, I'd probably get bored. If I play my banjo for a whole week, I'm ready to play some harmonica for a few days, and I've got to have a break from it, and I feel like I progress more if I have a rest when my mind's getting a bit fried. Sort of, they call it I don't know, cross training. If you do athletics or running or something like that, you give one thing a rest and you do something else. So it gives that part of the brain a rest, and I do something else, which seems to work for me. So I'll have a guitar a couple of days, and then I'll have a banjo week, probably. It's more so on the banjo than anything, and I'll try and work on some new stuff. I'm very slow in songwriting. Rob Oldfield's been a huge influence in that respect. He's given me the impetus to try write on my own stuff. So sorry, I'm doing all the talking here, Jack. I'm not giving you a chance to ask any questions. Please, I'll let you ask something. I'm just.
No, that's good. I'm quite happy just to listen. Yeah. No, I was just thought that was. It's a great story. I think of that. You know, trying all these different ways, because I think there's. I talk to some people, you know, and they say, "Oh, I couldn't do it. I couldn't learn an instrument now. You know, that's only for people when they're younger." So that's this journey you've had to coming into it through YouTube, because people do learn in different ways, don't they? And that format, I think it's really exciting that we've got this stuff now that does provide different ways, doesn't it? And also, because you've been doing like collaborations online over lockdown, you've been pretty. I saw you doing. What are these challenge things that you've been doing? I saw you done the harmonica, the 12-bar.
Sorry, could you just?
Oh, what was the?
Oh yes, that was just. That was a recent thing via Luke Booth, who's a fantastic blues guitarist, and he plays with some really good musicians. He started off a thing called the Lincoln Inn. It's a virtual pub. It's a private group. Anyone can join. You can join. I've got a gig on there a week tomorrow. He's got a festival going next Saturday. So he started it off just to sort of keep people in contact with each other and say, "Oh, let's just all have a drink and keep in touch." I've never met Luke. I only knew him through Kev Hackney. Kev Hackney recommended, me to him or something like that. Get in touch with Kev. He'll join the group. Yeah, he's fun for most things. So I joined, and it ended up, who wants to do a gig? Who wants to do a little slot on the virtual inn? So it started off people doing an hour, half an hour slot on a Saturday night every Saturday, and we took turns. And I did one. I think it was possibly before Christmas. I did about an hour and a half. I run well over, but I had a few drinks and I got carried away. It was great. I was doing harmonica and banjo and guitar, and I had Jules in there with the tambourine, sitting down there doing the percussion. It was really good fun. So this chap, Mitch Laddie, he's a friend of Luke's. He's based up in Newcastle. He's some, I don't know 100%. He's some sort of music producer, songwriter, etc. I haven't done so much, but he produces backing tracks, and he started this challenge. It's like a 50-second clip of a blues song or a soul song, whatever, and it's a challenge just to do a quick solo or improvise something over it. Yeah, so Mitch, he sets these challenges, and I think they're mainly for electric guitarists, you know, for blues guitarists sort of thing. And I thought, well, I'm going to have a go at this because I saw Luke doing it, and I thought I'm going to do a harmonica version, and it worked quite well because I practiced the backing tracks quite a lot from YouTube, and it's good for improvisation, and it keeps you sort of keeps your technique up for when you go and join your bandmates in the studio and stuff like that. So stops the muscles getting slack and everything, and it keeps your mind busy with what you can do when you next meet up. So they're good fun. I'm hoping he's going to release a few more. Excuse.
Send you a few more challenges.
So, yeah, they're good fun. They're just what you can come up with on the spot, basically.
Yeah, they are really good. It's like you say, just that little blast of a solo. It's like, okay, that's pretty good. A little bit of showmanship.
I do what I can. I'm not a brilliant, not a very proficient musician in any genre, any instrument, but I try to keep it basic as possible, make it effective but basic as possible.
There's a lot to be said for that. Yeah.
I don't play up the neck anywhere past sort of the fifth fret on the banjo, and that's just on the first string. And on the harmonica, I tend to keep no higher up than the sixth hole, which is the safe zone. Holes 1 to 6. It's kind of the safe zone where you can't really go too wrong if you're playing in the right key. So I do like improvising. I like just joining in with people if they're playing. If I hear somebody playing, I'll just get a harmonica out of my pocket and I'll start playing if it's in a pub and there's a jam session on. It's how I met Kev Hackney. Funny old thing. When I was in the Ploughboy, I went along just to see what went on at this new session, and he was playing away, and I was in the back of the pub just playing away on my harmonica to him. He goes, "Oi, who's that playing a harmonica?" And I thought, ooh, that little rough-looking bloke playing the guitars, and I said, "Oh, it's me." He goes, "Oi, get over here, you're playing with me, you're my harmonica player." I went, "Oh, okay." All right then. So that started off a really good collaboration with Kev, because he's a great mentor, and you know, he's inspirational little fella. He's brilliant. He's great at what he does, wonderful. And he fills people with bags of confidence. He really does. And thanks, Kev. He's given me so much confidence to do what I do myself. Yeah, he's inspiration.
That was another thing I was thinking from what you were saying, was that you took that step to actually go and play with other people, and I'm a big believer in getting out there, playing with other people, and then sort of finding your feet with that, because it does give you confidence. People are really scared to do it, to go and perform in front of other people.
It's very daunting.
It is, but I think once you've done it, you start to find the rewards that come from it, and it makes you a better player, particularly like collaborations and things. So I think that's really interesting.
It certainly does.
Yeah, I was also.
It does. I can't. Go on, carry on. Sorry.
All I was going to say is, when you were saying about trying to sing and play the bluegrass stuff, was it John Lee Hooker, I think, who said, "I can play guitar and I can sing, but I can't do them both at the same time." So if that's good enough for John Lee Hooker, I think that's good enough for everybody. One of the other things, I was looking at the songs that you've written, and a couple of them have got these about places. So the Old Morpeth and the Tyneside Cliffs. And I was just wondering, sort of, because there seems to be a bit of a trope of that in sort of folk music and that kind of thing, about places. And I was wondering your opinion, really, on why do you think folk music lends itself to these songs about places, where perhaps some other genres don't so much, do they?
No. Folk does really. Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why it does. I'm a recent sort of convert to the more modern sort of folk world, and I've only been getting into folk musicians really for about the last year or so, through Rob Oldfield really, and starting to play with him, because it was playing with him on his tunes that thought, oh, this is a whole new genre I've never even thought about really, because I was more genre specific in other ways. Excuse me. And obviously I'd listened to a bit of Pete Seeger and stuff like that, and Tom Paxton, who's up there on the wall, he was you can't see him. I've got an album cover of Tom Paxton. He's a folk singer that I admired. I've never sort of been into Bob Dylan or anything like that, funny old thing, or Woody Guthrie. It's more modern bands who are playing that sort of music, like the Tillers out in the States, who sort of play a lot of Woody Guthrie sort of songs and stuff like that. But I don't know, it's nostalgia, isn't it? It's all about keeping history going. I think the folk genre, the history of places and people specific to the country that the music was made in and the areas where it came from, trying to keep that that legacy going, sort of thing, even though it changes and and progresses with everybody that does it. It sort of improves and changes for the modern age slightly, but my songs are specifically, because I'm from the northeast originally. Morpeth is my hometown. That's where I was brought up. Well, to about age 11, 12. So and I've been going back there at least twice a year ever since. From a kid, when I was younger, I used to go up there because my dad's still up there, my brothers are up there, etc. And it's a lovely place, beautiful place. And I just wanted to do something for my hometown and the area, the local area, and hence the Tynemouth, the cliffs of Old Tynemouth. That was inspired from a book that my dad gave me of old Tyneside songs and poems. It's from 1800, the early 1800s. And I just reading through it, and he says, just see what you can do with it. See if it'll inspire you to come up with something, this song. And it did. And I thought, I found the poem, the Cliffs of Old Tynemouth by Dr. Leach, 1847. I thought, this is the one. Because I couldn't understand most of them. They're all written in a broad dialect, and Morpelian and things, which is, my dad can speak it. And I sort of go back to that accent a bit when I go up north, it sort of comes back in a bit. But I thought, that's the one. It's got a nice few verses. I need to change a couple of words here and there just to bring it up to modern day. If a couple of the words were kind of oldified and wouldn't ring sort of in today's language. But I thought that's the one, and that inspired me to write my first music to words. Really, that tune, that was the first one.
Really?
And that inspired that inspired me to do the Morpeth tune, because I thought, and I just felt inspired after I did that one. I thought, the Morpeth, I want to do something for my hometown and maybe get a video to it. The reason I did it myself was because there's a very old tune going back to, I think, 1700 and something, called the Morpeth Rant. It's a traditional tune, and I think it used to be a fiddle tune or a pipe tune, Northumbrian pipes tune. And I've got a banjo friend out in, I think he's in New England, Guy Wolf. He's a potter and he plays banjo. He's been playing banjo since the early 60s, 70s, and he spent time in Morpeth and Cumbria. He did his apprenticeship of pottery there, and then he went back to the States. But he's a fantastic banjo player, and he did the Morpeth Rant for me. I said, can you show me how to play this Morpeth Rant, because it's my hometown? And he did it for me on his YouTube channel, and by crap, I couldn't get my head around it. It's just too technical for me. It's all melodic and everything. It's far too technical, so I thought, I'm going to write my own song about Morpeth. I just did a really simple one, and I just sat down one day and I thought, what's going to come into my head? Oh, Morpeth Town, it's near New Biggin-on-Sea, and etc. And I but what can I come up with? The landmarks and everything. And it just sort of spilled out. I really don't know that. I came up with a tune first. That seems to happen for me sometimes. I come up with a tune and then I'll put words to it. Sometimes I just come up with lyrics in my head. I'll just be inspired by someone I've listened to, or something will just click in. I don't know why. It's random. It just comes sometime. Sometimes I'll write a tune and I'll say, Rob, can you write me some lyrics for this tune? And Rob will just whack out some lyrics in about half an hour and go, there you go. And I don't know how he does it. He's a prolific songwriter, Rob Oldfield.
Yeah.
And he inspired me. He said, Kev, you've really got to try and start writing your own tunes. And I am slowly. I've done two written, two with vocals and one instrumental, and I've got two other ongoing at the moment. I'm writing one about the Lincoln Imp at the moment, which is an instrumental at the moment. It's a good sort of foot stomper for when the pubs open again, and I'm hoping to get Finn McClear on fiddle and Mickey McNulty on the Irish bodhran drum on that one as well, so to give it a bit more bounce and a bit of a dance around sort of tune. Yeah. That's going to be the Imp of Lincoln. I've done some sort of previews online with it. It's not finished yet, and I've got another one in homage to the Border Reivers, who I'm sort of related to through family names. The Todds, the Pringles, and the Jamesons were the mercenaries who lived on the border regions for several hundred years. Yeah. Around 1700 sort of period, 1600, and they used to raid north, raid south, fight for anybody who paid them, and there were mercenaries basically on horseback. So they all had their own clans, like the Scottish clans and stuff. And so I think that's where our rowdy sort of family nature comes from. And on my dad's side, anyway, up north, yeah, they're all quite wild and up for life in a big way, sort of thing. So I've done a tune which is coming on nicely, which it's kind of inspired by northern music and Scottish music and border music. and it's sort of bagpipe sounding, and I'm putting some drum to it and stuff. It's going to be a good tune as well. So I'm looking forward to that recording. Yeah, so it's just whatever inspires me at the time, really. What inspires me, I try and do something with it. Next week it may be another genre totally. It's just the way my mind works. I can't explain it. I like music of all different types, and whatever takes me at the time, I try and do something with it. It'll be country one week, it'll be folk the next week, and it'll be working on Rob's songs for a few days here and there.
I think if you want to keep evolving and learning, like, so much what you've said has been about this. You obviously take a huge amount of joy from this, improving your musicianship and finding out those little things and then bringing that together. And it sounds like you've had an amazing journey over sort of the last few years of bringing all those little lessons together. Now you're putting them into your own thing is coming from all those experiences. And one of the other questions I wanted to ask, really, and I think you've started really to answer it there, was just about what are you really looking forward to, like when these lockdowns ease, in terms of music. What are you thinking that's what I'm really itching to have a go at?
Well, we'll just get performing again, really, because we just started gigging, really, with the Austin T Band. We've got a good little unit going there, a four-piece band that's come together, and I'm playing just purely harmonica and a little bit of backing vocals here and there, and it's good fun. It's not just blues; it's a mix of kind of blues and soul and stuff. And Austin's take on those tunes, he's a great musician. He's been doing it for years. He's had several bands. He was a two-piece with Dave, who's the drummer, and I've come into it just through meeting him in the pub. In the where was it, the Magna Carta Jam, possibly, on the Sunday night jam at the Magna, I think. Oh no, it was when we were doing the Christmas single with Kev Hackney for the Ploughboy. We did a charity Christmas single, The Flowers at the Ploughboy, and I met him because they recorded it in the studio. So and I'd seen him perform in the Dog and Bone once with Dave. They were doing a duo, and I thought, I like this guy, I'd love to play with him sometime. And there he was. We went to his studio, and I thought, right, can I play some harmonica with you, please? I like your stuff. And he goes, yeah, all right, we'll have a jam. So it just evolved from that. I got him up to the Ploughboy, and we did a set there, and then we met at the Magna. So just playing with other people out in the pubs, and playing at the Brewer again on the outside stage. We had a great gig there with the Austin T Band, and we played the Strugglers Beer Garden a couple of times outdoors earlier last year when it was warm. That was really good. We were just starting to get some momentum there, and performed with Rob a few times. Obviously, we did the Priory at Cool Strummins.
Yes.
That was a good night playing with Rob. We were the Dark Pool Divers. We were in that set up then. But he's since stepped in with me in my Dead Man's Boots trio. I sort of had a country blues trio going with Wayne, my friend Wayne on double bass, and Terry from Medringham on harmony vocals with myself and on guitar. So we had a great thing going there. But unfortunately, Terry had to step down from that because his lady is Charlotte Porter, the wonderful singer Charlotte Porter, who does all the swing style singing and stuff like that. So they got their own band going. So I lost Terry. So Rob was standing in with that. So it's just mixing with all the different musicians, and just having that time just to jam together and do little gigs at the brewery, Poacher's Brewery or whatever. George has us down there in normal times once a month, and we have a music night down there. And we play on each other's songs. Me and Rob accompany each other, and whoever else wants to come down and do a few songs. It's a great night down there. So it's just the Ploughboy. We miss the Ploughboy as well. Hello, Ian. Miss you, mate. Great nights in there. You just never know who's going to come in. It's just great. It could be different every time. It's so good. And I'm prepared. I have a banjo, I have harmonicas of all sorts. So you just never know who you're going to meet and end up playing. It's just that, really. Jam sessions and performing, just getting out and mixing with people and advancing each other's playing capabilities through playing together. It's just such a great thing. I mean, it's nice to be able to play at home, and it's therapy for a lot of people. Obviously, for me too, I'd go insane if I couldn't play music. I would. It keeps me going.
I think everything you've said there is
thing for the brain, for the mind, isn't it?
It is, yeah, and everything you've said is a great advert for what I feel there is. I feel that there is a really strong kind of music scene in Lincolnshire, but it's spread about a lot all over the place. But if people do the things that you've done, like go and just try it, go and seek out these things, then it's there, and it's actually a very welcoming community as well, isn't it? I've
it
found.
is. They're lovely people.
Yeah. Well, they were all the main questions that I had, but I have got some quick fire questions for you. Okay.
This is the bit I was worried about. Yeah, the bit I can't prepare for.
No, I think they're fairly straightforward. Okay, so the first one is, what star sign are you?
Well, I can answer that, but like myself, it's quite complicated. Because I'm Gemini and Taurus. I fall on the cusp.
I'm on a cusp, yeah.
Hence why I think I'm so messed up musically, genre-wise and everything. I can't decide what I like from one week to the next. I think it's something to do with it, yeah.
So that's because Gemini's like sort of multiple personality as well, isn't it? So that's
on its own, yeah.
Yeah, on its own.
Yeah.
Well, you are making life difficult for yourself there. Okay, the next question. The next question I had was, you have to do a duet with either Lady Gaga or Kylie. Who would you pick, and what song would you like to do?
Gaga, without a doubt. I think Gaga is an immense talent, and I don't own any of her music. I've watched her film on TV, the documentaries, and I think she's fantastic. I'd like to do something in a sort of jazzy style with her playing the piano and me accompanying on a minor key harmonica, a low key harmonica, do something sort of jazzy with her singing and me doing some harmonica bits in between. That would be wonderful, actually. Can you contact her for me, please?
Oh, I'm pretty sure she subscribes.
I would love to. Yeah, if she's up for that, that would be sad.
Okay, Lady Gaga, if you're watching.
Without a doubt. I mean, I do like to dance to Kylie. I did dance around to Kylie a bit when we have our disco nights, obviously, but if
not the same league for you.
Collaboration, no.
I think that's probably fair, really. I think Lady Gaga is sort of like a creative force, isn't she? Yeah.
She's fantastic. Yeah. I'm not sure about the meat dress, but but musically wise.
I would happily wear a meat jacket. Just get hungry. Is that right? One more question, which is quite simply, what is your favourite kind of chair?
Well, I'm not a great fan of chairs, Jake, and I'm quite sore sitting in this one because I've got a bit of a dodgy back and hip. I like the look of chairs. I like the look of many chairs, and as soon as I sit in them, I go, oh God, no. So my favourite one is probably this guitar stool. This guitar stool, which is at a nice height. It's got a slightly forward tilt to it. But then again, I can only sit in it for about 20 minutes. I'm at my limit now, so I'm not really a good sitter. I'm not a good sitter in anything, but I do love a rocking chair. If I can find a rocking chair and sway backwards and forwards in a rocking chair, that's just lovely. And if I can get a banjo in my hands at the same time, the ideal situation, really. So I'd have to go for any chair. It would be a rocking chair. Would be my choice.
Rocking chair, possibly on a porch, looking out over a swamp.
Quite possibly, yeah, or a nice lake with a rowing boat on it or something, with a few chickens running around and stuff. Yeah.
That's good. Okay, so it's a beautiful picture there. Well, thank you ever so much for talking to me, Kev, and I'll let you stand up in a minute.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. Now, tell me, what song am I putting on at the end here for you?
Well, I believe you're playing the Cliffs of Old Tynemouth, which, even though they're not my words, it is my favourite one to sing and perform. Morpeth is just below it, but it's the one other people seem to like as well. So that is my choice, because the photography on the video that was supplied by the people of that area is fabulous as well. So that's the one I chose for you. So
very good.
Everybody likes it. Please, I've got it on my YouTube channel as well. You can see it there if you like. Give me a like. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for having me. And I'm sorry it's gone so quickly. It just feels like it's just zipped by. I've been non-stop chatting.
It's been fantastic. It's been so Thank you ever so much, Kev. You take care. Have a good night. You're frozen again.
Thanks, Jake. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good night, all.
Cheers. Bye.
Cheers. Cheers. Bye now.
Oh.
Cliffs of old Tynemouth, wild and the sweet, and dear are the waters that roll at the feet childhood fled chiefly astray. They lighted the morning of boyhood away. And now as I wander the old beach alone, the waves seem to whisper the names that are gone, the names that are gone. 'Twas there with my Alice I walked hand in hand, while the waves in the moonlight leapt on the bright sand. And sweet were the echoes of the dark cliffs above, but oh sweeter her voice as she murmured a love, as she murmured a love. Other lands may be fairer, but naught can be seen like the shore where our first love and boyhood have been. Oh, give me the cliffs and the wild roaring sea, cliffs of old time out forever for me, forever for me. Oh, give me the cliffs and the wild roaring sea, the cliffs of old time out forever for me.